I could bring up another point of evidence, though. So, atheist philosophers agree on the thought that if God does not exist, then there are no objective moral values and duties. And here's what I mean by that. If there is no God, then there is no real right and wrong. There's just sheer preferences. Your right is your right, and my right is my right. But the second point is that we experience morality. We experience that there really is a right and a wrong that is objective, it's transcendent. In other words, there's a moral standard that we're all believing in, and we act like there's a moral standard in our life. The problem is that if God does not exist, then there actually is no moral standard, and we can't call anything objectively right or wrong. Does that make sense so far?
Very good point.
The fact that we experience objective morality gives us good reason to believe in God because God is the source, grounding, and standard of objective morality.
But if there was no objective morality, then why did Adam and Eve get kicked out of the Garden of Gethsemane for eating an apple? They were curious. God had no right to do that. The tree was in the garden. If it was such a special tree, wouldn't have God put it somewhere else? You know?
I don't know how this counters the point so let me lay down the facts that I was trying to say. So if God does not exist, there is no objective morality. Would you agree with that?
No. Because you can believe in your own person, you know?
Right, it's subjective. We can believe in our own morality, but you would agree with me that that's not objective. Like, it doesn't exist outside of us.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, let me give an example, right? So we think that being
the
arrogant...
origin of morality, essentially.
Yeah, we're thinking that being arrogant is wrong, okay? Now, if it's subjective, it means that we only believe that because we say it's wrong. But it's arbitrary, in other words. It's like a flavor of ice cream. Someone else could say that being arrogant is right, and to them it would be right. But intuitively, we don't work like that. We work as if there is an objective standard that no matter what we believe, being arrogant is always going to be wrong. In other words, there's an objective morality that we sense and experience every day in our lives. You yourself have been hurt by the church all the time. You would agree that even if they didn't think they were doing wrong, they were objectively wrong. So I think you do believe in objective morality like I do.
Yes, ignorance is bliss.
Okay, so you and I agree that objective morality is real. And I made the first point that if God does not exist, there is no objective moral values and duties. But since there is, it logically concludes and follows that there is a God because we believe in objective morality.
We have no evidence that God exists.
I just gave evidence. The fact that objective morality exists is evidence of God. Can you give
It's more like philosophical.
Yeah, could you give a good counter to that,
I need to see it to believe it.
Okay, so I have two counters for that. There are plenty of things in our life that we believe in that we've never seen. And secondly, God is an immaterial being, so we shouldn't expect to see him in order to believe him. Do you get what I'm saying?